Hey, Lowco sports fans, welcome to another Lowco Pigskin Preview. I'm Wes Kerr, joined by Dylan Price. And Dylan, we have made it to week 10, the regular season coming to a close. It always seems to go by so fast. One moment you're getting ready for week 0 and you have that first football experience of the season. All of a sudden, we're here at the end of the regular season and the end of the road for some of these teams. And this season has just flown by, and it's been awesome to cover all the action here with you, with Justin Jarrett, and with Trace Lothar and everyone here at Lowco Sports. And before we get into previewing Week 10, just give me reflections on this season so far and the regular season that we've seen.
Really, I mean, this season has been great. It's probably everything we expected, but I think this season was a little bit unpredictable because, you didn't know what the Hilton Head Christian was going to do, or even the Buford Academy. And Thomas Hayward's having not a down year, but just not the dominant they have expected. And then you still got top dogs in Buford running it through 3A. And Ridgeland Hardyville gets their first win. So it's just awesome. Everything's unpredictable this year, and that's what makes football fun, and covering it makes it even more fun, just seeing all these unpredictable scenarios happening.
Yeah, a lot of good stories this year. You mentioned Ridgeland picking up that win to get them in the playoffs under Rodney Barr. Great to see that from the Ridgeland Jaguars. And a lot of fantastic stories over in Skeeza. Patrick Henry, their first 11-man football season since the 1990s, and they are on their way to what's looking like even potential region title if they can knock off Thomas Hayward this week. We'll get to that one a little later, but what a season it's been for Patrick Henry. A great year for Buford Academy, who topped Colleton Prep in an absolute thriller last week. Looks like they're on their way to a region crown. And speaking of Colleton Prep, I mean, not much expectations were there for that team after losing Drew Murrell, and look what they've done. Just absolutely rolling all the way to that BA game and losing by one at Buford Academy. No shame in that. So what a story over there for Colleton Prep. Hilton Head Christian Academy, off to a 1-2 start, and now they've really gotten some things rolling. A hard-fought win last week over JP2, and Dylan Clark has really revitalized that offense over there. And then back at the high school league, a tough season for Whale Branch. Just a couple injuries kind of derailing things, but certainly can't count this team out going down the stretch. But, Region 7-4A has been fun. You got Bluffton, who's had a great first year under Hayden Gregory, and they knocked off the Seahawks in that Bridge Bowl. Made River after a tough non-region slate. They've really turned it on in the region schedule, going for second place this week. And then Buford looking, it's definitely a different team than we saw last year with Tyler Haley at the helm, but it has been the Casey Field show down the stretch, and that defense might be even better than the one we saw last year. That's how good they're playing, and certainly 3A state title contenders. They have the experience and the talent to roll past these teams in the lower state, but certainly won't be easy for them. But it's hard to go against this Bryce Library squad when we get into November with all that playoff experience. And then Estill, I think one of my favorite stories of the year over there as well in Hampton County. First year covering these Hampton County teams, Estill, Wade Hampton, and then Patrick Henry, and all three of them have been tremendous teams this year. But how about Estill? What they've done, absolutely rolling through Class 1A, just had that one defeat to Wade Hampton. And other than that, they've been perfect this year and just been really fun to watch the development over there, and really excited for the future of football in the Hampton County. So a lot of great storylines and so many more to keep tabs on as we get towards the postseason. But let's recap, run through the games from Week 9. And I was at the Bluffton Hometown Showdown last Friday, and it was a grinder. May River comes down on top 14-7. Jaden Jones with both touchdowns as he powers the Sharks on the ground. A strong effort from the Bobcats on the road, but May River gets it done. James Allen over Hilton Head 45-8 as the Trojans are 1 win away from region championship. They'll take on Lucy Beckman. It could be a fun game on Friday. Speaking of the Bengals, they got past Colleton County, but not without a strong effort from this Cougars team. 31-21 in favor of the Bengals, but excellent showing by these Cougars who continue to fight in a tough region and nearly played spoiler for Lucy Beckham. But a strong showing from Colleton County and that Chris Howell-led team. Buford 48-8 over North Charleston. They will play for the region title this week at home against Hanahan. And the Hawks coming off a shocking defeat to Philip Simmons. So that game still obviously everything at the table for Buford, but a letdown for Hanahan. We'll see how they respond. The Eagles with a chance to lock down the region this week. And the Ridgeland Jaguars, they are playoff bound. They knocked off Edisto 38-25. Good for the Jags, and just awesome for Rodney Barr as they keep chopping. And just a huge victory just so happy for that team and those seniors as they all but clinch a postseason spot with that win over Edisto. Whale Branch with another victory, 35-7, where Branchville a chance to clinch the number 2 spot if they can take down Bamberg Earhart on Friday, and then Estill just rolling past Becky and Bowman, 50-0. They are on track for a region title of their own. Then Skeeza, some great games. Hillnet Christian Academy, they had to work for that win over JP2. Yeah. 48-32 is your final. The Eagles get it done, but what a shootout it was. A great battle between Christian Tilton for JP2 and Dylan Clark for HHCA. And it's two teams that certainly will be contenders in the postseason in Class 3A. Buford Academy, what a thrill that was. You were there 20-19 over Carlton Prep. The Eagles stop a 2-point try to hold on. A classic ball game over there at BA. And the Eagles, 1 win away. Still have some work to do, but they're closing in on a region crown. Patrick Henry, 52. Andrew Jackson Academy, 12. Excellent win for the Patriots. They'll have their shot at knocking off Thomas Hayward for the region title. Hayward falling once again 40-20, so I believe that's 3 straight defeats for Hayward, but they played some strong competition. And then the Kings Academy over Cross Schools 41-6. So there's your scores from week 9. Any takeaways from this past week of action and just specifically the game you were at, BA and Carlton? What a fantastic game that was.
I mean, yeah, that was, if you wanted to choose one football game out of the year to go to, that was the one to be at. I mean, each team, both teams' playmakers played well, and it sucked that one of them had to come out with a loss, but all around, just an awesome game. Braden Deneen played lights out. They really got the passing game going. Colin Prep really stuffed them a little bit on the run, and Mark Clifford dialed up some deep passes, and Braden Deneen, I've been saying it all along, he can sling it. He's dual threat guy. He can run and he can sling it. And then Cole Davis is everything we've talked about, Cole and Caleb, and Caden Crosby too. So just awesome game to witness.
I had my questions on whether or not Cole Davis could do it against a team like Buford Academy and that level of defense, but he proved he could. And that was a heck of an effort from Davis. But Braden Deneen, I mean, I cannot find enough words to describe his ability to win games and become that leader of his team and just showing that poise and that maturity to deliver under pressure and make those big throws. We saw that a week ago in that win over Hayward, and then with the region title on the line, he does it again at home. What an effort from Deneen. And he's an excellent player on defense too. I mean, unbelievable hustle. Had a great interception last week and never takes a playoff. Just an amazing kid and a fantastic leader for your football team, and someone who will be certainly missed in the years to come for Mark Clifford and the BA Eagles. And really excited to see what he does from here into the playoffs, because he wants to go out with a dub here in this season. So Braden Deneen, what a terrific player, and really excited for his future at Buford Academy. Well, before we get into the Week 10 slate, let's take a look at the South Carolina High School League polls that just came out for Week 10, and some local representation across the board. In Class 3A, Buford holds at number 5, and over the Class 2A, Wade Hampton receiving votes, and then Estill jumping to number 4 in Class 1A. Whale Branch also receiving some votes, so great to see for Buford, still hanging tough or alongside some of the top teams in 3A, and then Estill with 3 first-place votes in addition to that number 4 ranking. So I think this Estill Gators, I think that team is for real. They've been certainly getting some deserved praise, and I'm really excited to see what they do as we get towards the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think, you look at the Buford ranking, them being at number 5 in 3A, and I think the 4 people ahead of them are upper state teams. So I think Buford is the class of the lower 3A. And then I do really believe that this Estill team is just rolling on a magical season, it being the last year. And I think they're probably going to have to fight for the class of, the lower state in 3A, or 1A. But awesome to see teams from the Lowco representing well.
Absolutely. Estill has definitely deserved those first place votes. And I mean, you think how close they have been to a perfect season at this point. Just that one loss to Wade Hampton, where I thought they were the better team, just fell short there. A couple of big time plays from the Red Devils in that ball game, but yeah, it's been a remarkable season for Estill, and excited to see how far they can take it. But let's get into this Week 10 slate, and we'll start with the South Carolina High School League and Region 7 4A. The game that I will be at this week, I'll be back in the Shark Tank for the second straight week as Sharks will welcome Hilton Head and what should be a fun matchup in Region 7 4A. The Sharks coming off that big win over their rival Bluffton and have a chance to lock down number 2 seed at home if they can take down the Seahawks, but certainly will be easier said than done because this Hilton Head defensive line has been very tough. They nearly knocked off Lucy Beckham. A letdown last week against James Allen, but I think the Seahawks squad will be motivated for a big showing. A couple of close losses early in the year. Hilton Head certainly capable of pulling off the win on the road, but this May River team has confidence, is playing with great intensity on defense, and I really like the way this Shark team is trending heading to the playoffs. They're going to be a tough team to match up with.
Yeah, we said it. You said it on the live last night. May River's a playoff type team. You know, they like to run the ball and they don't like you to have the ball. So, and they only beat Bluffton by 1 score. But I think against Hilton Head, you're going to see a similar type game. Just come down to who has more possession of the ball, really. And I think you'll see May River and Hilton Head go down to the wire again. In-town rivalries, nothing like it. So I think we're in for a good one, but I think May River's going to try to hold the ball a little bit more, keep it away from Hilton Head. Just probably another low-scoring affair.
Yeah, and I think this one could be moving pretty quickly because we got 2 teams that love to run the football. Jaden Jones, another 100-plus yard game and 2 touchdowns last week, and then Troy Timko on the other side for Hilton Head. So 2 terrific run-heavy teams, so we could see a fast-moving, low-scoring game, and which team will be able to get the lead and grind down the others. So should be a fun matchup to watch. And like I said, a lot of stake for May River, with a chance to clinch that 2 seed in the home playoff game, and still could take the title, but very unlikely. Then they'll need some help from Lucy Beckham and James Allen to allow a lot of points in that tiebreaker. But a chance to clinch the 2 seed for the Sharks. Which group can win that at the line of scrimmage? Hilton had a great run defense led by Chris Marable, Shrine Bowl commit, and heading to Wake Forest. And Shike Thompson, who's had a breakout year over there at the line as well. And so they'll try to pack it in to stop Jaden Jones. And, the Sharks are very capable of going play action. And Tanner Macy's really grown as a quarterback. He's definitely gotten more confidence over these last few games. And certainly the matchups earlier in the season were very tough for him, but he's really found his groove, made some accurate throws last week against Bluffton. Didn't throw it too much, but a lot of short, high, easy completions, I guess you could say. Not as much the difficulty throws, I guess you could say, not as much harder level throws, but he was able to get the job done when he needed him to. And I expect Macy to take charge when he's given the opportunity to throw it and is given the chance to throw it. So he can run the option well. And so I'm really excited to see what Macy can do against Hilton Head defense that has been tough this year, especially in region play. They nearly upset Lucy Beckham. And Timko's been a hard runner to bring down the other side. Bluffton, they were able to move the ball through the air against May River. So you got tempo, but can Bybee and Bays have the ability to make some deep passes to some guys like Riley McCracken and some other guys downfield. So Hilton Head certainly with some offensive firepower, and we'll just see how they do against a May River team that did a good job shutting down Bluffton, although the Bobcats were able to get some completions through the air. So ball control will be huge in this, which team can kind of avoid that key turnover. But, I expect a great game, a low-scoring grinder. I think both teams are going to use the rushing attack to their advantage. But, which team can kind of outwit the other and who can get the lead first. That's always a big, important factor in these types of games. And both teams have the opportunity to throw it downfield and have the ability to. But I think Hilton Head, I like what I've seen from both of their quarterbacks, both Jackson Bybee and Owen Bays. Bybee's really impressed on me, especially in that Bluffton game, his ability to rally his team back. So can't count the Seahawks if they get behind. But I do like May River to win this one. But Hilton Head could definitely pull the upset, and that's a big win for the Seahawks potentially. They need a victory to get in the top 4, and they'll need some help from Bluffton to lose to Colleton County, which a good segue into that one because the Colleton County Cougars, looking for a region win, coming in at 0-4, had a couple of close defeats, and now they come into Bluffton in what's looking like what could be the finale of the Cougars season. But it's certainly tough to play against this Colleton team. They really fought hard against Lucy Beckham, and I expect them to put out a good effort here on the road against the Bluffton team, looking to get back on track here.
Yeah, and you kind of look at this game. This might be a little bit of a trap game for Bluffton because you got a Owen winless region team, and they don't want their season in. The seniors don't want their season in. So I do think Bluffton it has the better squad here. With Jalen Linder, he's a playmaker. So I imagine that Bluffton probably comes out on top, but you could see a little bit of what we saw at Hilton Head Christian John Paul maybe by the underdog jumping out ahead and just the better team winning. So those are my thoughts about what I think's probably going to end up happening.
Colleton's, they've been very competitive, and there's a lot to build on for this Chris Howell team going forward. And nearly upset Lucy Beckham, and definitely has what it takes to compete in this game. But can they find success on the ground? The Bobcats, they haven't been able to stop the run in recent weeks. So if you can get that strong ground game going, can Mike Gant make good decisions with football with a great athlete to have at the helm of that offense? And there should be a better showing, I think, from Von Hohenstraten. He came in and out of the game, working his way back from injury, but got to see a little bit of him. Sailed some throws early, but he found his groove as the game went on, connected with Linder for a couple times. And then, of course, Kamari Simmons, who I really like. And I think he really could have more of a role going forward. Beside Linder, he's got some dynamic speed, especially to the outside, and was very effective against the Sharks. And then you have some other guys that have stepped up at wide receiver. Wyatt Tant has been a nice piece alongside some other guys. So Bluffton, this team is growing. I think the offense is continuing to get better, and this is a key game for them because if they win this, they're guaranteed that number 4 seed to fend off Hilton. And so big game for both sides with in terms of playoff implications. Bluffton will look to officially clinch that berth and get to that 4 seed. But I think Bluffton, I think the defense will need to be on top of things again. Jeremiah Curry and Jaquin Williams have been outstanding this year. Donovan Loving-Howard showing out in the secondary as well. Someone who I really enjoyed watching, had a great preseason, and he's really balling out here this year. But I'm excited to see what he does. And then another guy to watch in Bluffton who's had a breakout season, Michael Fritz at wide receiver, made some big-time catches against Hilton Head in the Bridge Bowl, and they came up with a nice grab against May River as well. So he's become a reliable target for Von Hohenstraten as well. And, it could be a big night for Linder. He's already up to 964 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. That has to be a Lowco high or close to it for receiving. But, man, what a year it's been for Linder. Really deserving of that praise and his opportunity to play in the North-South game. And he has been on another level. And I think he should feast again this week. But they're going to need some big games from Curry, Jaquin Williams. I expect another big effort from them. And sending our best wishes to Shane Whitaker. What an impact player he has been. Unfortunately, carted off the field last week with a neck injury. We're hoping for the best for Whitaker. He was an impactful player, especially in that Bridge Bowl. Was huge in making some tackles against that Hilton Head offense. So I think this Bluffton team, I think being back at home, I think they'll have the motivation to get it done. But do not sleep on this Colleton County team. Last chance to make an impact and get that win before the end of the season. If they get that win, who knows what they'll have. They'll need some help to get into the playoffs. It's still not guaranteed, even if they do win, to get in that large spot. But, I think it would do wonders for them if they're able to finish off on a W and get that road victory. So I do think Bluffton finds a way late with the talent and offense to win this game. But Colleton, they're going to go all out and expect a great effort from the Cougars on the road. Well, those are only 2 local games for Region 7 4A. We do have Lucy Beckham and James Island, which will be a great contest between 2 really strong teams in the 4A Lower State. Excited to see how that one goes. And we'll report that to you on Lowco Pigskin Live on Friday night. But let's get into some other South Carolina High School League games, including at Beaufort High, because the Eagles are going for a region title at home against Hanahan. And this looked to be really hyped up a week ago, but maybe not as much because the Hawks dropped a shocking one. They lost 22-0 to Philip Simmons, and certainly expected a lot more from Hanahan last week. Fortunate result for them, but this Hawks team's still they're going to have a lot of motivation to take down the Eagles on the road. And Beaufort has just rolled through the region competition this year, and I expect the Eagles to be on top of their game and close out that crown here in front of their home fans.
Yeah, there's two ways this hand-to-hand team's really going to come out and respond. They're going to come out very fired up and energetic, knowing they dropped a game they shouldn't have lost, or they're going to come out really flat because, you just dropped that game you shouldn't have really lost. So, but all in all, I think, you hate to count hand-to-hand out, but I think Buford, they just been running people over. Casey Fields, I think he's going to have another spectacular game. And, even Samari Bonds, I think he's going to have a really game too. So, because he's been forming, just like Dylan Clark has, he's been forming that role. And I've liked what I've seen from this team. I love their defense. They have a lot of playmakers. They have a lot of playmakers that you don't know about too. Some of the big name guys like Colton Ferries, and then you got some guys like Zach Talbert just in there, and you don't really hear his name often, but he's there making plays. So I love Buford, and I love what they're doing right now.
I love the point about defense because we've talked all about Casey Fields and Samari Bonds' offense, but the defense, like I said, the top might be even better than they were last year. They may not have the high-end talent like Alvin Wilson or some of the other guys they had last year, but everybody has really played a role, and I think the depth has really improved. Everyone has bought into the system, and they have just been shining on the defensive end all season long, and especially in region play. And so many names that we may have not highlighted as much compared to some other guys, but they have all deserved attention for what they've done. Colton Ferries has really been a leader, along with Carter Bowersox and some of those guys on the line, alongside Jack Sumner, another guy who has been excellent. So there's so many guys to point out, and we'll certainly spotlight as many guys as we can in these coming weeks and in this game, because this Buford team, I think they're built to be a successful playoff team because of how well they play that hard-nosed defense. That's a big part of their MO, and we saw it last year, and we saw it in the playoffs, and we saw it throughout this regular season too. So, a lot of questions going to Buford. Can they run it back to that state title game? And without Tyler Haley, certainly a lot of question marks, and have key losses on defense, including Wilson. What can they still do? And this has been excellent showing, especially in region play for the Eagles. And Casey Fields, I mean, what can you say? It's just been an insane year ever since he's been the running back, over 1,100 yards now. It's just incredible what he has done, and just an added star, added weapon over that running back that Bryce Lyman has been able to add in there. And Samari Bonds, though, has really grown well under center. 2 passing touchdowns last week. Also got a score on the ground. He's really grown some confidence with throwing the ball, and excellent runner with some electric abilities to change directions and pick up yards. And you still got McLeod Rochelle, who's a clutch receiver, and he's still making impacts. And then you got Colton Ferries, who kind of is a two-way star this year, and especially dangerous on special teams. So I love the way this offense has evolved this year, and just been really excited to watch this Buford High team. And I think they have the advantage more for the most part because they're playing at home, and the house is going to be rocking over there at Ladies Island. Those Kirkland Crazies, one of the best student sections in the Lowco, and they are going to go nuts for a region title game. It is going to be a heck of an atmosphere over there, and I expect Hanahan to come out with some intensity early. I think if they can absorb that first punch on the road and kind of make a statement early and hang around, I think that's going to be key. But Buford, if they can pick up a couple scores early on like a 1-2 punch with Casey Fields and then another score, make a defensive stop or a forced turnover, it could get ugly real quick for Hanahan. So I think the opening script of the game is going to be key. The Hawks like to run the ball. Kevin Rivera has been dangerous on the ground, 960 yards this season. That D-line is going to have to be the top of this game. Jack Summer is going to be a big part of that. I just saw him, by the way, at the CJ Cup last week over in Congaree. What an awesome golf tournament that was, and great to see Sumner and be able to talk to his family. And then, Michael Dennison, Carter Bowersox have been great at linebacker. And everybody does their job so well, and can they find a way to trouble the offense early and frustrate a group that got shut out last week, didn't perform very well. So the defense is going to have to be strong at the outset. And, they're certainly going to have an eye on Casey Fields, and you should get the bulk of the work, but would love to see Colton Ferries get some carries potentially to keep those legs fresh into the playoffs. Caden Gaddish would be one to watch at linebacker for Hanahan, but never easy to shut down that speed and looseness of Casey Fields. And, he should be the focal point until someone else can find a way to stop him. Keep riding the hot hand. I think that's what you want to do heading into this game. And then, that's the guy you're going to ride. Ride with the guy who brought you here. And I think they're going to do that with Casey Fields going forward as we get into the postseason. But man, what a weapon to have at the helm of your offense. And if Samari Bonds can use to step up this game, I know the defense will be able to get some stops against anybody. I think the offense could be the key, and a lot of that starts with Casey Fields. But taking one game at a time, Buford still has to get this one to get that region crown, which we use, of course, in the playoffs to have that number one seed in from Region 7-4A. But never easy against Hanahan, but this Buford team, they know what's at stake, and I expect them to pounce early and really control the ball from then on. So. Should be a quick start, and then that defense really has the ability to shut you down. They're allowing just under 10 points a game throughout region play. So I think that should continue at home for the Eagles, and I believe you will be at that game.
I think, I don't know for sure yet, but I will. I hope I am. It'll be a great game. It's senior night for the guys, so yep, you're right.
Yep.
The Kirk and Clazies, they're going to be going. The whole atmosphere is going to be great.
Yep, very emotional senior night for a couple of guys who have meant a lot to this Buford team. And staying here in Region 8-3A, let's head over to the Battery Creek Philip Simmons matchup. I believe that one is on Thursday. The Creek Dolphins taking on Philip Simmons, and a great win last week for Simmons, 22-0 over Hanahan. Certainly a shocker. Battery Creek got that key victory over North Charleston and trying to maybe tune up here before the playoffs. Still a solid year for Terrence Ash and this Creek team. Had some tough injury luck, especially with Jeremiah McKeechin and Damian Freeman, but really enjoyed watching those two this year do some damage on the ground. And, Battery Creek, love the way they've been fighting this season. Great to see them back in the playoffs and an opportunity to maybe steal into Philip Simmons, but going to be tough against a red-hot Iron Horses team.
Yeah, Philip Simmons coming off that, unexpected win against Hanahan. And the key for Simmons is to not ride off of that momentum. They just want to play their game and play Battery Creek how they want to play them, and just that game's over with. But I do think it is a great opportunity for maybe Battery Creek to steal one. But I think Philip Simmons in the end is the better team and is going to win in, the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, not going to be an easy game for this Battery Creek side against the Philip Simmons team, who's playing some great football after knocking down a great Hanahan squad. But, for Creek, the run game can be huge because that's really been the bread and butter of this squad for the Dolphins, being able to grind out some carries on the ground. But, this team has fought hard, just hasn't had the defensive depth this year to compete. And I suspect this Iron Horse squad is going to get done with Markellos Ashbury and Isaac Stimpf, but really like the way this Terrence Ash team has performed this season on offense. I just don't see the defense making enough stops to stay in it against a great Simmons squad. So should be a tough one for the Creek Dolphins, but we'll see what they can do, and maybe a chance to pull off an upset and really gain some momentum heading into the postseason. So good luck to the Battery Creek Dolphins this week as they go on the road. Moving on to Class 2A in the South Carolina High School League, Ridgeland at Lake Marion. This is a non-region game. Ridgeland Jaguars heading to the postseason after a huge win over Edisto. Now they have a chance to kind of tune up as they head to Lake Marion before next week's postseason matchup. But it's got to be a great feeling to get that W last week. It's just awesome win, especially for those seniors, and be able to. They've had a tough go at these last few years. Had that 2020 season, which was canceled due to COVID, and then coming back last year, another tough season. Then to get that victory to put them in the postseason, just huge for that program, and just awesome to see the success over there. And definitely will have a lot of swagger heading into this game and a lot of confidence. So I'm excited for Ridgeland as they get ready to take on Lake Marion this week.
Yeah, this is the type of game, last week was the type of game that you really build your program off. And, it's hard for a team going 0-8 to get a win late in the season. And I figured out how they do it after we got to talk to, Coach CJ Frazier. He's nothing but positive, and I can only imagine that for the whole team. So you got guys like that. You have coaches like that. I think sky's the limit for them. And I do think now Lake Marion is another winnable game for them. Lake Marion has been up and down in the past, but this one, could go either way. It's a toss-up kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not out of the question. This Lake Marion team, they've kind of been up and down, coming in at 5-4, 2-2 in their region. They beat Acton-McNagget 27-7, so they're coming off a win. But yeah, I think it's definitely possible to see this Ridgeland team, and they should be in this one for most of the contest. And if they can build on what they did last week, I definitely could see them find a way to pull it out and pick up another win, which would be massive heading into the playoffs. So a great chance to build on what they did last week over there for the Richland Hardyville Jaguars. And staying in Class 2A, a great matchup between two really solid teams in that classification. Barnwell, number 2 seed, Barnwell, number 2 team in Class 2A at Wade Hampton. The Red Devils receiving votes, who have really been a solid squad throughout the year. A couple tough losses, including at Hilton Head for Wade Hampton, but what a statement game for the Red Devils before the playoffs against one of the top teams in the classification.
Yeah, Barnwell, I think Barnwell is the class. They just came off of, a high-scoring game with Woodland, Woodland is another awesome team in 2A. And, for Wade Hampton, this is, a statement game. If you want to prove yourself, go beat Barnwell, because Barnwell is the class, and that's how they've been in years past. You've always heard Barnwell and Bamberg, and then, those two going back and forth. But, Barnwell, it's a very, very big game for Wade Hampton, and it's definitely not out of the question, but it's going to take full effort.
Yeah, I mean, this Barnwell team has been the real deal so far. I mean, they've won in convincing fashion really across the board. Haven't really had a close game. I mean, they beat Warrensburg Wilkinson by just 13, but that was early in the season. But other than that, actually, Woodland was only a 6-point game. So I guess you could say they have been able to shine in these close contests. And I mean, they haven't really had one until that point, but when they had, they were able to pull it out. So that was a huge win over Woodland. Woodland's been having a great season as well. So for Barnwell, you got to be feeling good heading to Wade Hampton. But this is certainly is making the trap game too. This Red Devils team, they have Zion Dobson, a really excellent to build that offense around. So I mean, this Wade Hampton squad, you can't sleep on this group. Chris Terry has had a strong season at quarterback, and they've got some playmakers on defense as well. So a big statement opportunity for Wade Hampton, and they played well against Woodland. They're coming out of a bye week, so they've had some time to prepare for this ball game. That's always a big factor as well. You've had 2 weeks to get ready for it. You're fresh, you're rested. So we'll see what this Wade Hampton team put together, and upset certainly now not out of the question for the Red Devils. Certainly stranger things have happened this season. So what an opportunity for this Hampton team to knock off one of the best in 2A before the playoffs. So excited to see how that one plays out. And let's head down to Class 1A here in the South Carolina High School League. Another great game at Bamberg Earhart, because the Whale Branch Warriors are coming over there to take on Bamberg. And, Bamberg's really had their number these last few years against Whale Branch, but a huge opportunity in a region game for the Warriors. With a win, they would clinch the number 2 seed. And a season that was really, it's kind of hasn't gone the way they've wanted to. A couple of key injuries, a couple offensive playmakers that they've lost, but they're still on track if they can win this game to get a top 2 seed in the region. So still a lot on the line for this Whale Branch side as we get into Week 10. And Jerry Hatcher, he is an excellent coach. He has shown that he can win with who he's got, and they still got some great guys like Jakai Pouchet and Keith Chisholm, who are excellent impact makers on both sides of the ball. So, but Bamberg Earhart, they are on a roll. They've won their last 3 games in shutout fashion. So can Whale Branch find a way to put points on the board? Definitely going to be a challenge on the road, but possibility is there for a big-time upset win.
Yeah, Bamberg Earhart, they have been the class for, years. They had, one loss to Essel, but that, looking at it now, that's really not a bad loss. So Bamberg Earhart, it's going to take a full effort from Will Branch. Definitely not out of the question. Anything can happen this season. We've seen it. So, but I feel like they'll probably have to try to get into a shootout with Bamberg, because Bamberg does like to grind you down on the ground. And, they play like a May River or Beaufort Academy or Tom Saver, just a little bit more better, because they always have big bodies over there. So definitely a tough one for Will Branch, but it doesn't seem that impossible.
Yeah, they've taken care of business in games they should win. The last 3 games were all in shutout fashion: 44, 53, and 35 points against Branchville, Bethany Bowman down to Fairfax, and obviously taking care of business in all those games. But lost to Estill and lost to Barnwell over in 2A, but then grinded out a 9-7 win over Wade Hampton. So they have the ability to use that ground game to their advantage and really take control on that side of things. So, Will Branch, I love Jerry Hatcher's approach to these kinds of games, and you kind of, you're playing with house money in a game like this, and on the road, all the pressure's on Bamberg Earhart, and see if you can use your playmakers like Keith Chisholm, Jakai Pouchet, and that great defense of guys like Alonzo Allen alongside Bradford Thompson, who have both been exceptional playmakers this year over there for Will Branch. Alongside Sean Lee with another nice game. So the defensive pieces are there. Can they force a few mistakes and get the offense and maybe some short fields and force some turnovers so they can get momentum? So not saying it's out of the question, but it will take a lot to get the job done against a Bamberg team that's found its groove, especially defensively. And a big game for the Raiders as well. I mean, can they back up those last few weeks against a well-coached team? And Jerry Hatcher, he's kept this Will Branch team fighting, and this win would give them second place in the region, which would be absolutely huge. So big one on tap for Will Branch as they hit the road at Bamberg Earhart. And then rounding out the high school league schedule, the Estill Gators, who have just had a tremendous year, only one loss, and they would wrap up the region title with a win over Allendale Fairfax. And this game should be a coronation. They should roll in this home matchup and clinch the region crown.
Yeah, Allendale Fairfax has been a team to give, some teams a little problems, but I think Estill, they're hot right now. So I think they roll in this game and clinch that region title going into the playoffs.
Love this team going to the postseason. Love their ability to block in the line and just have that terrific ground game and the defense. Just a bunch of ballers who have had a tremendous year. So I've really enjoyed following this Estill team. DeMonte Mathis, 7 tackles, 4 solos last week, and Desmond Mathis, 9 for 87, 2 touchdowns. So they have playmakers on either side of the ball. And then Xavier Garvin, who's had a great season, threw for 3 touchdowns last week for Bethany Bowman, and also at 133 yards on just 7 carries. So lethal on the ground. So I expect Garvin to have another big game here to close out the region title. So excited for Estill, and should be a big week for the Gators. And that will do it for the high school league slate. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more here on the Lowco Pigskin Preview.
This podcast is made possible by our sustaining sponsors. Our original sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of LowcoSports.com. Go see Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickle Squad for all your legal needs and support the local businesses that support Lowco. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling the best pies in Bluffton and on Hilton Head, but don't sleep on the mac and cheese.
Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry has provided a community-based, nonprofit solution to ensure everyone finds comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life.
Star Home Services, official residential cleaning service of Lowco Sports. Sometimes you just don't want to clean. Call on Carla and her amazing team to do the dirty work at a great price and tell them Lowco sent you. 843 Sport, the official training center of Lowco Sports. No matter your game, 843 Sport is the place to take it to the next level. They're bringing all the area's top trainers and some of the best elite travel teams from various sports under one roof at 843 Sport. DDS Web Design, the official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If you have a business and you want to get found, look no further than DDS. They can build an attractive and effective website loaded with all the cutting-edge SEO tools you need to show up where people are looking on Google. Dave and Denise will get it done. Additional support provided by Cannon Specialty Services, Bluffton Pest Control, Next Move, The Fit Club in Belfair Town Village, and our Patreon members. Join today for $1 or more per month at patreon.com/LowcoSports to get early or exclusive access to our local sports content and exclusive Lowco swag.
All right, we are back. Wes Kerr joined alongside Dylan Price, and we already covered the South Carolina High School League slate for Week 10. So let's get into the SCISA games, and not as many games because we have a lot of local and loco matchups between our SCISA squads. And let's get started with the classic island rivalry, Hilton Head Prep at Hilton Head Christian. And we've seen some great games. This one may not be as intriguing because it's been a tough year for Hilton Head Prep, who are going into this game winless. They had to forfeit last week against Trinity Collegiate, and just has not gone as according to plan this first season. But I think when you look at Hilton Head Prep, I'm just really impressed by their fight and a bunch of great games, including against Bethesda Academy early on in the season, a strong performance as well against St. Andrews. They've played some tough teams really well, just haven't been able to put it all together for that win. They've got some talented pieces like Lonsell Daly and, AJ Barger, but just have not been able to put everything together. And it's just hard when you just don't have much depth. And really, it's really not out of your control. It's out of your control if you're Dustin Etheridge, because you kind of have to work with who you got. And sometimes it's hard to find that depth. And, I believe in Dustin Etheridge. I think he's going to do some great things going forward, but just a tough situation to come into when you don't have that depth, when you lost a lot of guys from last year. So I think Hilton Head Prep will get a lot better going forward. And I think big things are in store for them. But Hilton Head Christian, the Eagles coming off a really hard-fought win last week over John Paul II, 48-32. Excellent game from Dylan Clark, and this is one where you get to see some good stuff from your stars, and then maybe bring in some depth players and keep your guys fresh for the postseason.
Yeah, I think if you're Hilton Head Prep, no better team to get your first win of the season against Hilton Head Christian. But then again, if I think you're Hilton Head Christian, I'm getting a comfortable lead, and then, I'm taking out some of my guys, put some younger guys in there, get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I just talk about this Hilton Head Christian team because, what a turnaround that, 0-2 start certainly raised some eyebrows. They played some two strong squads, Christian, and they had to go against Wilson Hall. So two really tough teams, but coming out of that bye, that Ben Lippen game was really the turnaround. Dylan Clark really started to figure it out. And, he had to learn the system. He went Ron Peduzzi was wanting him to learn the offense, and he's really grown into it and has become a heck of a playmaker and really has risen above all his expectations, I think. Not only has he hasn't really become more of a game manager, he's become more of just a playmaker who can throw on the run and create some outstanding throws. And just really impressed and proud of what he's done as a leader and facilitator of this offense. And I think there's a lot of good things coming up in store for him as the Eagles get ready to take on this postseason. But what a turnaround for Dylan Clark and this Hilton Head Christian Academy squad. And they have found some excellent playmakers on the offensive side. Huge game for Gage Logan last week. And that's a huge contest to build on for him, and then Caden Turner, Isaiah Anderson. So a lot of skill position players who have really stepped up, and then that defense, we knew that they would turn the corner. But give credit JP too, and that incredible game from Christian Tilton made the Hilton Head Christian Academy team earn that one. But I expect the Eagles to roll this one, and Hilton Head Prep, a tough season, but still a lot of positives to build on. They're competing in a lot of these tough games, and I expect this team to take some big steps forward with Dustin Etheridge in 2023. So wish the best of luck to Prep, and going forward, let's get to John Paul II, because the Golden Warriors nearly knocked off the Hilton Head Christian Academy Eagles, and now a big region contest, Class 3A contest, with seed implications against Wilson Hall, which has really played some teams tough this year, including Hilton Head Christian Academy. So this is looking like an evenly matched game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun what can Christian Tilton do for an encore after that excellent performance on the road? And I think this JP2 team, after the heartbreak of falling up short, they're going to be hungry for this one, and definitely have the firepower and the offensive talent to look to outclass Wilson Hall here at home.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fairly quick game because Wilson Hall does like to run the triple option. They like to run the ball out of the wing tee like John Paul does. And man, one thing I've learned this season, you cannot count Christian Tilton out of anything. That kid is amazing. He's just a pure athlete. And when you run a triple option offense like that, that's who you want at quarterback. You want someone just like him. He's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to spin off of you or anything. And that kid's fast too. So I think this is, a big game for John Paul, big game for Wilson Hall too.
Yeah, terrific matchup.
Yeah.
Wilson Hall nearly knocked off PD Academy. They lost 35-31 against against the top team in Class 3A, and they beat Florence Christian by one. Just defeated Heathwood Hall last week. So this is going to be a fantastic game. Going to be a very evenly played contest, and JP2 Christian Tilton's going to have to shine in order to keep up with Wilson Hall. And the defense, I think that's one thing JP talked a lot about Tilton, but and he's been a playmaker on defense as well. But Sebastian Slucy has had a great season. Can some of those guys defensively step up for JP2 to stop Wilson Hall? So going to be a fantastic game. Could go either way, and would be an absolutely massive win for Chris Myers and the Gold Warriors, and would bring just so much confidence heading into the postseason if they can pull this one out. And just a huge game for both these squads. So we wish the Gold Warriors at JP2 the best of luck. Excellent season this year from Chris Myers. He has done a great job turning his portal around from that winless season back in 2019. So really proud of the strides that they have made. And, man, with Jeremiah Young a couple years back, I'm sure you remember him, and then Christian Tilton now, they've had some excellent electric quarterbacks who have been fun to watch over there at JP2. And then don't forget about Tony Hill and Jackson Ogden, who have been really exciting backs and playmakers for them as well. So fun team to watch, and we'll see how they do against Wilson Hall in a huge 3A clash. And let's go down to Class 2A. Buford Academy pulling off just an incredible dramatic win at home against College and Prep, but they still have some work to do to clinch the region title against Bethesda Academy, who has had a strong season and will make it tough. Buford Academy going on the road looking to close out the region title. Definitely going to be a tough one for BA, but I think you got to be really brimming with confidence after that victory over College and Prep. And, Braden Deneen and company is going to be hungry to finish the job and close out the region title at Bethesda.
Yeah. Confidence should be out of the world. There's difference between blowing teams out and then winning games like that. Games like that prepare you for everything because you got to be able to win the grinders. And if the game has to come down to the last play, you got to be able to do it. Bethesda Academy has improved from last year. You can start to see their struggles a little bit. This is definitely not an easy game for Buford Academy, but I think if you go down there, run what you know how to run the split back, and get Braden Deneen throwing the ball, I think you do come out of Savannah with a win and the region title.
Yeah, and Buford Academy, I love the way that they've kind of mixed and matched things on offense with Braden Deneen and his ability to throw the football and hit guys like Zeke Gonzalez, who's been a nice playmaker at wideout alongside Tayshawn Hayward.
Yeah.
So they have the skill position players to stretch the defense, which is huge in scheme of football. I mean, when you have a quarterback like that, can make those kinds of throws. So I think this Buford Academy team really is the full package to compete in the playoffs, and especially when you have the experience of winning these close games. That's 2 weeks in a row they've pulled out a huge win in a close contest against Thomas Hayward and then against College and Prep. So confidence is be through the roof right now, and I think this team should find a way late to roll and get going on both sides of the ball. Love the way that Mark Clifford has grown this team and really has everybody buying into the system. So, and man, the potential I think is through the roof for this team going forward in the postseason, and maybe we'll see another contest between the College and Prep Warhawks and the Buford Academy Eagles in November. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be awesome.
It should be. We could have 3 teams competing for state titles this year in the Lowco from 1A, 2A to 3A. That would be pretty awesome. over there. So could be a fun finale over in the Skeeza season for our Lowco squads. And then speaking of Colleton Prep, just a heartbreaking defeat on the road, but now a get-right opportunity back at home, taking on Palmetto Christian. And this one, they should get back into their winning ways and should roll. Palmetto Christian just has not been able to compete with the other few squads in this region, and a big opportunity for Colleton Prep to get into the postseason with what should be a dominant victory.
Yeah, Palmetto Christian's not having the year they want to. It looks like they're sweeping up the bottom of the region. So this is another get right game and try to get your guys out of there because you got playoffs coming up, and it's looking like Colleton's going to be shaping out on the Williamsburg side of the bracket. So you want to keep everybody healthy in case you get to that game because you're going to need everybody.
Yeah, that could be a potential semifinal with Williamsburg, which not going to be easy at all. So
no.
Williamsburg is having a really special season. They have some dudes over there, and they're going to be hungry for sure after that loss to Hilton Christian County in the state championship game last year. So Williamsburg looking like the favorite, but Colleton Prep, I think a loss like that against Thomas or against Buford Academy, I think that could do you wonders to have that setback and to kind of to experience a defeat like that to help you grow before the playoffs. So sometimes a setback is what you want in those kinds of situations to prepare you for what lies ahead. So we'll see how Colleton Prep responds as they take on Palmetto Christian and then head into what should be a very exciting postseason bracket in Class 2A. And then finally in Class 1A, we have got a fantastic region title bout between the Patrick Henry Patriots and the Thomas Harrod Rebels. And I didn't think we would get this kind of competitive game, but what a season it has been for Patrick Henry. And despite losing quarterback Hugh Ferry, Michael Tucker Mathis has been a sensation, an absolute revelation at QB for Patrick Henry. And we have the makings of an exciting region title clash over there at Thomas Hayward against a Rebel team that has dropped 3 straight, albeit against some tough squads. But, I think the Rebels are going to come in blazing hot in terms of they're going to be fired up and they're going to want to put up a strong showing. But Patrick Henry, they have shown they have the talent to match up with this Hayward squad. So I think Hayward has the edge at home, but this Patrick Henry team has shown some excellent compete and they have taken control against some excellent squads so far in Class 1A. So I expect the battle here at Thomas Hayward and should be an outstanding region championship game.
Yeah, Patrick Henry, they do have the playmakers and everything to beat Thomas Hayward. And I think if you're really looking at this year, this is probably the best year you're going to get to jump on Thomas Hayward, especially the games that Hayward's has had in the past weeks. Even though it's been against bigger and, probably better teams than them, it's still not good to be on a 3-game losing streak. So I think if you're Patrick Henry, you need to jump out in this game hot and take nothing for granted right here because every yard you get against Thomas Hayward, that's the biggest accomplishment. I've had the pleasure of playing against them, and they're a solid team. It really doesn't matter what the record is; they're going to hit you hard. But definitely, Thomas Hayward needs to take care of business if they want to make it deep into the playoffs. It wouldn't be the best if they dropped this game. Then I think they would have to go to the least side of the bracket. Don't know for sure, but if you're Thomas Hayward, I think you're going to be okay in this game. Patrick Henry's a little undersized, even though that doesn't really matter so far. But Thomas Hayward has been the class, and I think they will pull out with the region title here.
I just don't see Thomas Hayward dropping this game at home in a big-time environment like this, big-time implications on the line. And, they have the speed to beat you on the outside. Dietrich Schuford, he needs to show that he can be that leader who wins a game like this. And, he's had a rough couple of contests against some great defenses, but this is where you kind of take what you learn, use that setback to fuel you. And I expect him to have a dynamite game against Patrick Henry. So, and the defense certainly has been riled the last few weeks against some quality competition. But, I think it's preparation in the end for this Thomas Hayward team. And going against a 1A squad, I think they get back to the winning ways and get that region title. But definitely will not count out this Patrick Henry team. And Michael Tucker Michael Tucker Mathis has had an incredible year. And then A.J. Gerald with 8 tackles and an INT interception. So they have some playmakers on the defensive side, and that will challenge Shuford and what should be a strong Thomas Hayward offense coming into this title clash. So should be a fun one over there. Didn't anticipate it, but we're going to be in for an outstanding a region title clash between 2 Lowco squads and Patrick Henry and Thomas Hayward. So, and looking at the Rebels, Lawson Hewlett has really been fun to watch. Cutter Williams, a dominant receiver who can also make some plays defensively. So I think these guys are hungry for a big night, and I think they're going to deliver here in a huge region title game. So I think Thomas Hayward Rebels will get it done, but I cannot count out this Patrick Henry team, who has just been a fun story. And wouldn't that be an amazing script to see them take down the Rebels in that first 11-man season back since the 1990s and win that region? So should be a great game over there, and should be a fantastic Week 10 as we close out the regular season. Man, cannot believe that we are finishing up what has been just an awesome football season here this fall, and look towards what should be an amazing postseason. But before we wrap this thing up, let's name our players of the week, and a lot of guys to pick from. Some terrific performances individually on both the high school league and the Skeezas side. So Dylan, I'll let you get the first pick here. Who is your selection for player of the week?
Well, when you have a guy that has 10 receptions for 271 yards and 3 touchdowns, you almost got to give it to him. Gage Zadalokin, you're my player of the week. Unbelievable performance. I mean, if you do the average, that's a lot of yards per catch. So awesome to see that.
Yeah, that was an insane game from him. Yeah. 10 receptions for 271, 3 touchdowns. Well, we haven't seen a game like that out of him before, but just, man, what a weapon that he has become. And he just racked up the yards, and, his speed and agility out there is really becoming a problem for defenses. And what a great guy to be a reliable target alongside Isaiah Anderson and Caden Turner. And when Caden's been catching all those touchdown passes, and you got a tall athlete who can win matchups over your defenders like Isaiah Anderson, and when those are covered, you have the other guy you can turn to, and there comes Gage Zadalokin. So great to see him produce, and he could be a big weapon down the stretch for Dylan Clark and this Eagle offense. For my player of the week, this is going to be a special week for me because, I'm just so proud of this Ridgeland team and what Rodney Barr and those Jags have done. I'm going to give a couple of those Jaguars players the honors this week for that huge first victory of the season to get them into the playoffs. Starting with Maurice Brown, who had an exceptional game at quarterback, 12 for 23, 261 passing yards, 2 touchdowns with a pick, and then did some damage on the ground, 16 carries for 90 yards and 3 touchdowns. Excellent field general, and he really put it all together both through the air and with his legs. What a memorable performance for him, and just awesome to see that after so much setbacks with some defeats, and he really prepared and worked hard for this moment, and he seized it. So congratulations to Maurice Brown, and also congratulations to Wesley Jones, who had an exceptional game as well for the Jaguars. 2 carries for 46 yards, 3 catches for 88 yards, 3 tackles, a pass breakup, and a pick 6 interception return for a touchdown. Man, he did it all on both sides of the ball, and that's what you want to see from a guy, just a guy who's worked so hard to get to this moment. And Jones just represents that nonstop quit and that tenacity of this Ridgeland Hardyville team that just lived up to their motto and just kept chopping all the way through the season. Now the reward with an incredible win to get them to the playoffs. And I mean, you could keep naming guys because they all deserve it. Xavier Plowden with a fantastic game of his own, 8 tackles, 15 carries, 90 yards. So many guys stepped up and contributed in that win. So, and CJ Frazier could attest to it. So many guys had to come up big, and they all did. And I'm just so happy for Frazier, for Rodney Barr, and that entire Ridgeland Hardyville Jaguar team as they punched their ticket to the postseason.
Yeah, that, we got to talk to him after the game. That guy, he was smiling from ear to ear, and he would love to see that for a coach. And for the players, looks like they got good role models coaching them and telling them what to do, and that's what it's really all about. So for them to get that win, that's just magical. And, this could be a program builder win right here. So you never know. We'll have to see.
In so many ways, that is such a huge victory for a team that had to take a whole year off because of COVID, came back in 2021 with Coach Barr and kind of had to in many ways start things from the ground up with different players and lost a lot of guys to different schools, and now getting to the point where they are heading to the postseason with that monumental win. Just a crucial game, crucial victory to continue to keep chopping and continue to elevate that program. So a lot of great things in store for Ridgeland and so many of our teams in the Lowco as we get ready for Week 10, final week in the regular season. Cannot wait to go out on Friday and watch some high school football action and, just observe and see what else happens. We got a lot of region title implications on the line, a lot of title games, and I'll have big-time contests that will determine the playoff picture going forward. So always exciting to finally see how things unfold in these region standings, and we'll have our full playoff brackets out this weekend, which is crazy to believe that we're getting to the playoffs already. It's been a fast season. It's been a fun season as well. So been a joy covering it with you, Dylan, and with Justin, Jared, and with everyone here at Lowco Sports, and can't wait to keep doing it all the way through the postseason. Well, for Dylan Price, this is Wes Kerr. Thanks for joining us, and hope you join us once again on Friday night to recap all the action on Lowco Pigskin Live. Until next time, go Lowco.